Good evening and welcome to our Smyrna Town Council workshop to set our agenda for our May council meeting. Before we move into items for discussion, I'm going to ask Mark Adkins to do our prayer, and if Kathy Farrell will lead us in our pledge. You'll stand with me, please.
Father, we just come to you again with a grateful heart, Lord, for the beautiful weather that we have, Father, and just the town that we get to serve in. Lord, we continue to pray for those that serve the town, those that do all the work on the streets and roads and police and fire and everything in between, Father. We just pray a hedge of protection around them as they go out into the city and do their work. Father, we continue also to remember the people in Ukraine as we enjoy our weather and the things that seem simple and that we sometimes seem a little ungrateful for, Father. We have to think about people that are there and being buried in mass graves. Father, continue to watch over us all. Forgive us where we fail you. It's these things we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen. Please face the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So tonight we have some special guests with us, and at this time I would like to introduce the Stewart's Creek High School soccer team. So if you guys would come on in. I hear it's very specific how you guys have to line up, so I will let you guys get in line. Okay, are we good? Okay. So these individuals played in the Mayor's Cup against Smyrna. And I did notice, and so this is the Mayor's Cup that is presented every year. And most of the time we do this on the field after the game, but we wanted you all to get to see who the winning team was this year, which is Stewart's Creek. And we are so excited because I noticed one thing on the trophy. The one thing on the trophy is this is their first time to receive the trophy. So congratulations to you all. So Coach, anything you want to tell us about the team or anything?
All I have to say is I'm super proud of these boys. From the beginning of the season, they worked hard. they were focused, and most importantly, they were coachable. So that's what I asked for. So.
Well, and I just want to say from the town of Smyrna, each time you all put on that uniform and that you're representing Stewart's Creek High School, you're also representing the town of Smyrna. And we appreciate all that you do because we know it takes time and dedication to school and to your sport. And we just want to thank you for all that you do. I do have some certificates here for you, but before I do that, since you are on TV, I'm going to let you each introduce yourself and tell us what year you are in school. Does that work? Okay. Don't be shy.
My name is Gabriel. I am a sophomore in Stewart's Creek.
Great.
My name is Sean David. I'm a senior at Stewart's Creek.
My name is Ashton Gill, and I'm a senior at Stewart's Creek.
My name is Colin Fleener, and I'm a senior at Stewart's Creek.
My name is Zach Garman, and I'm a senior.
My name is Harley Castro. I'm a senior.
My name is Carlos. I'm a senior.
My name is Sebastian. I'm a senior.
And they all think you're a student, too. You look so young.
Yes, I am not a student. I am a science teacher. I teach biology and chemistry. I've been coaching these boys. This is my first year as a head coach. I've been coaching them past couple of seasons as an assistant. And what's really weird is that I've coached some of them since they were, 8, 9? So it's truly a blessing to see them grow. So, yeah.
And where did you go to high school?
I graduated from Smyrna High.
Oh.
Yeah.
My name is Isaac Adedoyan. I'm a senior at Stewart's Creek High School.
My name is Tyler Price, and I'm a a junior at Stewart's Creek High School.
My name is Cecil, and I am senior.
My name is Brady Walker. I'm a junior at Stewart's Creek High School.
My name is Alberto Gonzalez, and I'm a senior at Stewart's Creek High School.
My name is Eckler, and I'm a senior.
My name is Aiden Beatty, and I'm a sophomore.
My name is Luke Schmackel. I'm a junior.
My name is Anthony Miho, and I'm a junior.
My name is Brock Plummer, and I'm a junior.
My name is Hadley Sharp. I'm a junior.
My name is Zeke Opie. I'm a junior.
My name is Raul Ortiz. I'm a junior.
My name is Thomas Campbell, and I'm a sophomore.
Great. So we want to say congratulations, and on behalf of myself and the town council, we wanted to present you with the Mayor's Cup, and we'd also like to get a photo if that's okay. So council, do y'all mind standing up behind so we can get a picture with everybody? And Chief Bill and Miss, yes, sir.
I don't think we got the teacher's name.
Oh, Fulgence Latima. Yes. I'm sorry. Yes.
Chief always keeps us straight. So.
There's a thing. I'm just going to put it here. Now, look, I want to make sure y'all can see. So, okay. We good? Okay, Chief, can you see everybody?
I believe so.
I did not. I need them to go in. Maybe do 2 rows right there.
I don't have that card in my deck.
Yeah, if y'all can do 2 rows right there, that would be great. 2 rows. Yeah, I gotta go now.
What night was that? When Tuesday? Tuesday night.
Night before last, or something, yes. I don't know
Parents is good? And there's some certificates, there we go, and I'm gonna let you all distribute these, but there should be some for everybody. Thank you all so much, congratulations, we hope to see you all back here, except for the seniors. Thank you. And good luck on senior night tonight, you're at senior night, thank you. Y'all have a good night.
Thank y'all.
He doesn't know what he 2 years eligibility.
HG, I think your questions kind of surprised some of the players. They didn't realize that he had played at Smyrna High School. So we'll now move into our items for discussion. Our first is approval of the terms of an authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with North Alabama Fire Equipment Company Incorporated relative to the fire department bunker boots, turnout coats, turnout pants, and fire hoods. Chief?
Mayor, council, we bring a couple of annual bids to you this evening. The first one, as you just said, was the North Alabama. We would ask the council to give the mayor permission to sign the contract for bunker boots, turnouts, pants, and hoods, please.
Questions for Chief on this one? Okay, then we'll move on to item 2, which is approval of the terms of an authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with Safe Industries relative to the fire department helmets and turnout suspenders.
And again, this is an annual bid, and we're here to ask permission to have the contract signed with Safe Industries, please.
Questions for Chief on this? We for sure don't want them losing their britches, so we want to make sure they get those suspenders. Item 3 is approval of the terms of an authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with emergency vehicle specialists relative to the fire gloves for the fire department.
Again, an annual bid, and we ask y'all's permission to sign the contract.
Questions for Chief on this one? Okay. Item 4, approval of terms of an authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with Safe Industries relative to the fire department apparatus servicing. Chief?
Yes, ma'am. Again, an annual bid this year. It was Safe Industries, and as you can see, they came in about $25,000 less than the other company. So, again, we're here to ask permission to sign the contract.
Any questions for Chief on this one? Okay, we'll move to item 5, which is approval of the terms of an authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with Diversified Inspections ITL Incorporated relative to the fire department aerial and ladder testing. Chief?
They will, Diversified has been doing our ladder testing for several years. Again, they will be doing the ladder trucks and all the ground ladder testing with y'all's permission, please.
Questions for Chief? Okay, we'll move on to item 6, which is approval of the terms of an authorization for the mayor to execute an emergency generator planned maintenance agreement for generators at Station 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and the Moores Hill Radio Tower site. Chief?
Yes, ma'am. This, again, is an annual bid. This is for all our emergency backup generators at the station, and including Moores Hill, where our radio system is at. Again, we ask y'all's permission.
Questions for Chief on this one? Okay, it's obviously the Chief Bill show tonight. Chief, we're so glad that you made it. Item 7, approval of the terms of an authorization for the mayor to execute a memorandum of understanding with Milo State Community College for emergency medical responder class June 6th through the 19th of this year. Chief?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, there's 3 memos of understanding for them to hold our emergency medical responder class training, and we ask y'all's permission to sign the contract, please.
Okay. So item 7 is the class June 6th through 19. The refresher class is August 2nd through 3rd, which is item 8, and the refresher class is also December 6th through 7th. Any questions on any of these? Okay, then we'll put all those on the agenda.
Thank you.
To items 13 and 14, if you would. And then I'll explain later why I'm asking for that to be done.
Sure. So just 13 and 14?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Item 13 is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an extension for the annual concrete contract between the town and Rollins Excavation Company. Tom?
Thank you, Mayor. Council, we have an annual contract agreement with Rollins, and this is just to extend the existing contract by another year for them to do sidewalks, concrete, curbing, things like that.
Questions for Tom on this? Okay, we'll move on to item 14, approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with TDOT to provide a federal CRSSA grant totaling $1,126,578 for the Old Nashville Highway ADA Sidewalk Improvements Project.
Yes, this is the grant we received, the CRISA grant, a little over $1 million to upgrade sidewalks on Old Nashville Highway from Enon Springs to Rock Springs Road.
Okay, questions for Tom?
Actually, on 13, is this extension the first or the second of the 2-year?
I believe this is the first extension.
So we could still extend another time next year?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's all.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay.
No questions before.
Okay.
Before Mr. Rose leaves the podium, I want to explain why I asked for that to be done. His daughter has been nominated and accepted as a National Honor Student, and Mr. Rose needs to get to a ceremony tonight with his daughter, and I would like to show a little appreciation
Well,
Thank
congratulations.
you. Yeah. She works really hard. She's a junior at Oakland High School and straight A's and in multiple organizations, been in band since middle school, so really proud of her. Her name's Riley Rose. Just really proud of her.
Good for her. Now,
Thank
does
you.
she get her intelligence from her mother or her father?
Definitely her
answer that?
mom. Yeah, no, you
Can I
can't.
answer that?
I answered for you, so yeah, definitely her mom.
Well, congratulations.
Thank
We
you.
know that she has a strong family behind her that has encouraged her along the way. So pass on our congratulations to
Thank you
her.
very much. I
So,
appreciate
huh?
it.
Take
Thanks.
care.
Have a good night.
Thank you,
So
Mayor,
we
for
will
that.
move back to item 10, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an extension agreement with J&B Tanker relative to the wastewater treatment plant's Lagoon sludge removal. I think that tie needs to go with that sludge removal, but go ahead. Oh, and the socks too.
So last year was, we bid it out, and this will be an extension. They agreed to the same pricing. This year we did the North Lagoon. Next year we'll do the South Lagoon at the water plant.
Questions for Mike on this? Okay, we'll move on to item 11, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with Dan Weaver Services for the water leak detection services. Mike?
Yes, ma'am. This is an annual agreement. We did bid it this year, and Dan Weaver, again, was the low bidder. That's who we would recommend.
Questions for this? He's been doing quite a bit of work for a long time.
Yes.
Item 12 is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with IM&E for electrical and mechanical services for the wastewater treatment plant and the water treatment plant.
Yes, ma'am. This is another annual contract. We did bid that this year, and IM&E was the only bidder.
Okay, questions for Mike on this one? Okay, we'll move on to item 15, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with the Regional Transportation Authority, better known as RTA. Jeff or Brian or Jeff? Okay.
Mayor and Council, this is our annual contract for the RTA routes.
Oh, that's it? Okay, sorry.
Hey, I could have said
I
that.
was like, oh.
Would you like me to show you the route?
No, I'm good. I thought there was more.
I don't think we need anybody to take it. We could have figured that out.
Any questions for Jeff?
Keep it simple.
There you go. Keep it simple. Okay, we'll move on to item 16, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract for audit services for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2022. Rex, you taking that one, or you gonna give that one to Jeff too?
16. I can
I
wrap
have a
it
feeling
up.
he's just going to say this is a contract for our audit for fiscal year June 30, 2022.
Yes, ma'am. The staff is recommending the independent CPA firm of Blankenship CPA Group to perform the audit for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2022. They've been approved by the Comptroller of the Treasury to audit municipalities in the state of Tennessee. The estimated fee is $37,500. We ask that the mayor be granted the permission to enter into a contract.
Questions for Rex on this? And just so everybody knows, we are audited every year, correct, Rex?
Absolutely.
That's
Inside
probably
and
one
out.
of the things that I see on Facebook quite often is they need to be audited. Well, we are every year, so.
Well, they can call a comptroller's office, and the comptroller will be glad to show them the audit, or we have it at the library, some various places. We keep it posted on our website.
And we're happy for them to review because we feel like we're good stewards of the taxpayers' money. Okay, item 17 is consideration of an ordinance adopting the budget for the fiscal year 2022 and 2023.
Yes, ma'am. We would like to go over a little bit of the numbers, mainly for the citizens to hear. As you know, the budget process started in November of 2021. The town manager, town attorney, and assistant town managers discussed personnel, line items, travel, and capital project requests. The budget was prepared based on economic conditions in late 2021 and early 2022. So we had some slides prepared. The property tax rate. As you know, this was a reappraisal year. And when you have a reappraisal year, sometimes, well, the property assessor will calculate a certified tax rate. And we recommend that the town adopt the certified tax rate. The numbers up there are the current tax rate for the entities in Rutherford County. As we go through the recertification process, we kind of did some rough calculations and think that the Smyrnas will probably go down to somewhere in the low 50s or the high 40 cents. But the certification process is a way to keep the increase in the reappraisals, which was over 30% for the entire town, at the same rate that it was the previous year. So in other words, if my tax rate was $500 last year, they're trying to get it as close to $500 through the certification process this year. The employees, we're doing the merit and bonus increases from the employee evaluations are in the budget. Longevity is in the budget, and we'll have some market adjustments that will be included in the second read. We'll start in on the special revenue funds now. The State Street Aid. The revenues from that are from the gasoline tax, and they're restricted to street expenditures. The format that we're going by this year is the 21 actual numbers or audited numbers. The 2022 estimated are numbers that Sierra and the staff work on and estimate, make forecast for the year. And then 2023 is what we're recommending to be adopted by the council. The operating income loss, we've got a loss there of $433,800. A lot of that is attributed to an increase in paving the streets. That line item is $1,750,000. As you can see, the ending fund balance for the 2023 is $380,245. So we'll have to look at some alternative financing sources next year to continue the paving at the rate we are now. Drug fund comes from court fines and fees and sale of seized property. The biggest expense in that fund is undercover expenses. And and the ending fund balance for that one is $507,614. So we're in good shape in that fund. Impact fee fund. That's from development fees. As you can see, we have a little bit, a deficit of $1.5 billion. That's not a big thing because as the revenues come in, we save it up until we spend it on bigger projects. So our ending fund balance will be $302,151. You can see in there, it's restricted by the source of the funds. Public safety can only be spent on fire and police expenditures, parks for parks expenditures, and roads for roads. And you can see that we'll be, if the budget goes according to plan, we'll be spending down and to zero in impact fees for roads. Stormwater fund, we have an operating income of a little bit over $200,000. Then we have capital projects of $643,300, which will give us an overall deficit. But as you can see, we have a strong ending fund balance of $2.6 million. The capital projects, the major project in that fund would be for repair of sinkholes, culvert replacements, and ditch excavations. And that will be paid out of the current year's revenue. As you can see, this slide shows the function of our expenditures, and 99% of that is infrastructure and improvements related, and only 1% for equipment. Insurance fund. We're self-insured in the town of Smyrna. We set up an insurance fund to take care of our medical, our property casualty, and workers' comp. Our revenues are generated from the charges that we make to all the departments that have employees. Our expenses are claims and third-party administration fees. And you can see we've had a tough couple of years there in 21 and 22, and we've had to increase the rates some. So we've got us back into a surplus, and you can see if all goes well according to the budget, we'll have an ending fund balance of $4.7 million. And we probably need to stay right around the $4 million to be in a really good place. Debt service fund, that is the payments that we will make this year for the outstanding bonded debt. See, it's basically a zero-based fund where you put in the money and it's all spent. The deficit that you see there is related to the principal that we pay for the airport loan. And the ending fund balance is the note receivable from the airport authority. And we do not anticipate on taking out any additional debt this year. Capital Projects Fund, that's kind of an in and out fund too, but we've, this year we're going to spend a little bit more on projects than what we take in. So we'll be spending some of that out of the fund balance, and that will still leave us with a little bit over $14 million after the budget year if everything goes according to plan. I like this slide. It shows the capital projects. We, in the recommended column, the total down there is what we're recommending the projects for the council to approve this year. It's a little bit over $20 million. Then the next few columns there show us the funding source, how we're going to pay for all those projects. Got a little bit over $7 million in the general fund, that we're gonna transfer over. State Street Aid, $40,000. Impact fees, almost $4 million for projects. And grants, almost $5 million. And we'll be spending a little bit over $4 million out of the fund balance in the capital projects fund.
Rex, I know you mentioned it, but before we leave that slide, I just kind of want to highlight that $4.9 million in grant right there. That's essentially free money that our departments go out and apply for and get approved for, and that represents 20% or so of our budget right there. So it's a big number. I think it's important for folks that are watching to understand that we're going after every dime we can from other places rather than just taxpayer dollars. And I appreciate the effort there.
And to that point, the impact fees at 19.9% and grants at 24.9%, that's 45% from outside sources, like you're saying, Steve. So we are going after all the money that we can get from outside and not just taxpayer money. This next slide shows what we spent money on in capital projects over the last 10 years. Number one is highways and streets at 54%. Number two is recreation at 27%. And number three is public safety at 10%. Now we're moving into the natural gas fund. This is one of our enterprise funds. An enterprise funds means that the comptroller requires the rates to be sufficient to cover all of our expenses. We're asking for a minimum residential bill to be increased by 50 cents each month, and the minimum commercial bill be increased by $3.50 each month. We have an operating income in the 2023 column. We're anticipating an operating income of $31,635, and that's basically just a break-even year. It's really hard to budget for these because it's just temperature-driven. As you can see, back in 21, we lost a little money, and 22, we're going to make a little more money, and that's because 22 is a little bit colder. And at the bottom down there, we have key indicators. And if these are negative numbers, the comptroller looks at those to determine and assess if we are a distressed utility. We are not. We're doing well in the gas fund. Both those change in net position and increase in cash are positive numbers. Major sources of revenue, residential is a revenue source. Commercial, which is the bigger ones, are Taylor Farms and Vijon. And industrial, the only industrial customer that we have is Nissan. You see how that plays out. Those three revenue sources are 97.6% of our budgeted revenue for the gas fund. Here's a chart that shows our natural gas expenditures by type. Of course, the natural gas for resale is 60% of our expenses. And as you can see, we have depreciation at 8%. Natural gas and water and sewer, like I said, are an enterprise fund, and they're accounted for like a regular business. Our major capital projects in the gas fund is construction contract for new gas mains and services at $500,000, and the Jeannie Lane Road project, and both those will be financed out of current year revenues. Natural gas expenditures by function, 90% of those are infrastructure and improvements, and equipment is at 10%. Now we're moving to the Water and Sewer Fund. We're asking for a 2% increase in the water rates and 3% increase in sewer rates. The average increase for a residential customer would be an increase in $1.16 a month. The water side would be 37 cents and the sewer 79 cents. New personnel for the Water and Sewer Fund. We got 2 people, an operator and a construction inspector, and both of those are full-time. The operating income and loss for the budget year, we're looking at that at $4,355,843. Our key indicators down there are positive numbers, so we're not going to get in trouble with the comptroller. We're not going to be considered a distressed utility. Here's our major sources of revenue. I guess the thing that I would like to highlight is we've got $3.9 million of grant revenue. We're going to secure from TDEC, and the primary source of that funds is a pass-through from the ARPA money, the American Rescue Plan money. And those account for 80.1% of all the revenues. The expenditures by type, debt service at 14%, depreciation at 14%. Of course, in Water and Sewer Fund, all your capital projects are very expensive. So capital is at 42%. And we're about to complete the new wastewater treatment plant expansion. And when we do that, depreciation will increase significantly related to the plant. Water and Sewer Fund, our debt service requirements for the next few years. Our debt's running around $6 to $7 million for 23 and 24. 25, it really drops down to 3.4. 26, 3.4. And our total outstanding debt for the water and sewer is $53,717,994. And we do anticipate adding an additional debt of $8,730,000 due to finishing up the wastewater treatment plant. And that will be low interest loans from the state revolving funds. Water and Sewer Fund, capital projects. Like I said, the first one there, we're finishing up the plant expansion. I&I project construction. I&I means inflow and infiltration, or some people call it sewer rehab. And we'll be starting at the downtown area around Coleman Street. The Lidwood project is on there to be paid for out of state revolving fund loans and some revenue, current year revenue. 1R lift station upgrade, that's for the Nissan plant, and that's new pumps and controls. We got 60% grant participation out of that one. Jeannie Lane line extension, we have 60% grant participation in that one. And we also have the Spring Hill road extension that we're extending the lines for that new road. Our water and sewer projects by function, infrastructure and improvements at 97% and equipment at 3%. General fund. As I briefly alluded to earlier, we're not asking for a property tax increase this year. the new personnel for the fire, for the budget. We have 7 public safety employees. We have a new position for the police department for a crisis counselor. We have 2 seasonal employees for the parks for a total of 9. General fund summary, operating revenues at 52.9 million in revenues. Go on down to the total expenditures line, that's 52.9 million as well. We have a surplus of, we anticipate of $11,025, so it's kind of a break-even budgeted place, number. The ending fund balance is 38.9 million, which is 73.59% of ending fund balance over our operating revenue. Our financial policy requires for us to try to maintain 30 to 35%. So we're very strong there. And when we last went out for take out a bond issue, the credit rating agencies were very complimentary of our strong fund balance. Go back a slide, please. If you look in the estimated column, we have down there toward the bottom, 7.2 million in excess revenues over expenditures, and that is due to 3.6 million of actual expenses or less than budgeted expenses. And most of that is due to vacant positions. We have a lot of vacant positions because of the labor market being what it is. We have 2.9 million in actual revenues that exceed budgeted revenues. And local sales tax and state sales tax are to be projected over budget by 2.4 million. So that makes up the majority of that. And we have 0.7 million in delayed capital projects. We anticipate shifting this savings over into the capital projects fund for future projects. Top 10 sources of revenue, local sales tax at 17.7 million.
Shop local.
And state sales tax at 5.6 billion. And I did, my notes here say shop local also. So all those contribute to be 85.2% of all of our general fund revenues. We have property tax at 24% and local sales tax at 33%. If you combine those two major sources, that's 57% of our revenue for the general fund. Other revenue at 12%, that's cemetery, golf course, parks, event center, courts. State revenue at 12%, that's sports betting, sales tax. I'm sorry, sales tax should be in there. Beer tax, mixed drink tax, transportation tax. Other local revenue is at 19%. That's in lieu of taxes from a general standpoint and the water and sewer funds. Business taxes, hotel and motel taxes, cable TV franchise fees, and building permits. Our general fund operating expenditures by department. Police at 30% and fire at 26%. You add those together, and that's public safety spending of 56% of our general operating expenditures. If you add parks and golf together at 11 and 4%, that's 15% for recreation. General fund expenditures by type. I guess the thing that's most impressive to me there is debt service at 2%. I think we've done a good job of paying down our debt and positioning ourselves to when we have to go out again to not adversely affect us. General fund major capital projects. Jeannie Lane Road, 2.5 million to be financed by impact fees. Almoville Road projects and right-of-way, $2,015,000 to be paid, financed from capital projects fund balance. Rocky Fork, Almoville Road right-of-way, $2 million to be paid out of capital projects fund balance. Spring Hill Drive, $1,180,000 to be paid out of the general fund. Sam Ridley at Old Nashville Highway, $1,612,000. We're getting 80% grant participation out of that project. And the Cedarstone tennis and pickleball courts and restrooms, we have budgeted at $1 million. We got a 50% grant out of that and 50% to be paid out of impact fees. We just recently secured the $500,000 grant, and Mike Moss and the Parks Department should be complimented on securing that grant. General fund departments by function. You can see infrastructure and improvements at 77%. Buildings and facility improvements at 15% and equipment at 8%. Here's the health, welfare, and culture department expenditures. Those pretty much, you can tell, remain the same. There's some slight increases in there for the Linebaugh Library operating budget. And we have nonprofit others, Smyrna Charity Assistance Fund at $35,000. General fund, debt service requirement for the next few years. You can see in 2025 it decreases significantly. And like I said, we're positioning ourselves well for when we have to go out to the bond market again. And this does include the new IT capital outlay note that was to be budgeted in 2023 and 2024. This is a time I'd like to step away and kind of do the 5-year capital project status update for 3 of the projects that we talked about extensively last year and that are high priority for us to keep working on. We have road improvements on the west side of I-24, construct a new fire station, and Cedarstone Park. For the road improvements to Rocky Fork, Almoville Road, we're in design in the current budget year and want to begin purchase of right-of-way, and we have $2 million budgeted for that in fiscal year 2023. And a card to study for Almoville Road projects and right-of-way of $2,015,000 are budgeted in fiscal year 2023. I said something about the fire hall. We want to construct a multi-purpose facility. That'll be located at I-80 and Jefferson Pike. We anticipate design work to start in the next few weeks. This will be used for fire, police, data storage, and community purposes. And we intend on financing $7 million of that from the American Rescue Plan grant money. Cedarstone Park. We're adding tennis and pickleball courts with restrooms for $1 billion. We want to finish the design work for Phase 2 of the Cedarstone Park, and anticipated construction for Phase 2 to begin in fiscal year 2024 or fiscal year 2025. This is a draft document. We anticipate changes prior to the first and second reading. We will try to have the first read budget on our website by tomorrow. Thanks to all the different department heads and their employees that's worked on the budget. Brian Hercules, Todd Spearman, and Jeff Peach for the guidance that they gave as we went through this process. And a big shout out to Sierra Lowry and the finance department for all the work that they've put into getting us to this point.
Great. Questions for Rex? Okay, number 18 is consideration of an ordinance relative to a budget amendment for the fiscal year 2022, and it's a first reading.
These are the fiscal year 2022 budget amendments. The general fund, stormwater fund, capital projects fund, debt service fund, water and sewer fund, and gas fund have some line items that need appropriated. The significant portion of the amendments are due to the pay increase and related benefits along with the computer infrastructure project. The smaller items were due to the increase in the cost of gasoline and some unforeseen expenses.
Questions for Rex on these? You have more, Rex? No? Any questions on this? Okay, item 19 is consideration of an ordinance adopting property tax rate for the fiscal year 2022-2023 on first reading. Rex?
Yes, ma'am. As we talked about in the presentation, we want to recommend adopting the certified tax rate. We don't know what that is yet, but that's our plan.
And it will be revenue neutral. I wanted to let you get through 17, 18, and 19, but I just want to take this opportunity to thank Brian, all the staff, department heads, and also the employees. I mean, we work really, really hard in the town of Smyrna to put together a good budget, but then to work within that budget each year. And I think when you look at our budgets year to year, you can see that that's what happens. And I know the amount of time, I think y'all start, is it February where you start?
Early January.
We'll start in November getting things ready, getting our program that we use, but yes, the bulk of it will start after the first of the year.
Right. So I just want the public to know the amount of hours that are put in by staff to come up with a good budget, but also I think when you look at the number of projects that we're able to do in a year's time is pretty impressive. So kudos to everybody and the staff for all that you do to bring us the projects you do. And I know we didn't have a lot of discussion about the budget up here, but we have pretty much a full day of budget discussions and at our retreat. And so I feel like we go over it pretty well as a binder that we get about 2.5 weeks prior to that retreat that we can go through. But thank you for all your hard work. We appreciate it.
Mayor, it's an honor for us to be able to work together, and again, kudos to the department heads, all the employees that work hard to get the numbers in. But I also want to point out, and he's being pretty humble tonight, but Rex and Sierra they've really carried the yeoman's part of this, creating the documents, putting the numbers together, having them ready for us to review, and then make changes pretty much on the fly to get things where we want them to be. So I just want to show some appreciation, not just to everybody, but especially to these two and the work that you've done. This is, I think, a very good budget. I think it's a very workable budget. And the direction that they give us and the leadership in those positions in our finance department are not unappreciated. So thank you.
Thanks. Okay, we'll move on to item.
It almost sounded like just kind of an offhand remark of this is revenue neutral, when really that's a pretty big deal. That the fact that the property taxes went up, but that our or our.
Property values.
property
went up.
Property values went up, but the taxes are not going to.
Correct. And I think that shows where we are working within our budget, that
Absolutely.
we are trying to be good stewards of the taxpayer dollars. So, and again, that's not numbers that we're waiting on the property assessor's office to get us those numbers so that we'll be able, and we should have those. When should we have those?
Next week, 10 days.
Yeah, so by the next meeting, so. Okay, so item 20 is consideration of an ordinance relative to the annexation and PRD zoning of property located on tax map 54, parcel 14.00, requested by Jennifer Speck on behalf of Collins Corner Ventures LLC, containing 9.4 acres. The property is located at 4412 Morton Lane, and this is a second reading. Mitchell, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
Great. We don't get to see you very often. I know planning does, but we don't, so.
I'll make the most of it. So like you said, this is a 9.4 acre tract located at nearby the intersection of Morton and Rocks Fork Allenville Road. Land use plan would support medium density residential with a commercial node aspect as well. Surrounding zoning consists of R3 and a PRD, which is the Cedar Hills and Blakeney subdivision, and then also a little bit of RM in Rutherford County as well. All services for this development would be provided by the town with the exception of water, which is provided by CUD at this location. Sewer would extend from either Westover or Bankside to serve this development. The existing home on site would be removed as part of this development as well. And then the accompanying request for rezoning later in your on your agenda is part of this development plan as well. The proposed PUD is for 80 townhomes and 3 commercial lots. The allowed uses within those commercial lots are typically the C2 style of uses, and are listed on the plan that was submitted in your packet as well. Morton Lane, Rocky Fork Allenville Road would serve as access points for this development. The townhomes portion of this development would have a minimum square footage of 1,400 square feet and be brick, stone, or concrete siding. And sidewalks would also be extended along Morton Lane and throughout the development as well. Planning Commission recommended approval of this plan 6-4, 0 against with 1 absentee. And with that, staff would recommend approval, and there have been no changes since the first hearing on this.
Questions for Mitch on this, since it is a second reading, we had discussion about it before. Anything from council? Okay, then we'll put that on the agenda and move to item 21, which is consideration of resolution relative to a plan of services for property located on tax map 54, parcel 14.00. Anything you want to add to that?
Just a housekeeping item.
Okay. Questions, council? Okay, we'll move on to item 22, which is consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of property located on tax map 54, parcels 48.00, 48.03, and 50.02 to go from R3 to PUD. It's requested by Jennifer Speck. The properties requested to be rezoned contain approximately 5.92 acres and are located on Rocky Fork, Amaville Road, and Morton Lane, and this is a second reading.
This is the rezoning aspect of the property that's already located within town limits, about 5.92 acres already. Other than that, though, everything is the same as what was requested with that annexation request.
Questions on this one? Okay, we'll move on to item 23, which is consideration of an ordinance relative to the amendment of the approved PUD for property located on tax map 28, parcel 72.07, requested by Alan Jones. The property requested to be rezoned contains approximately 1.76 acres and is located on Isabella Lane, and this is a second reading.
Yeah, Mayor Council, this is a project located on Isabella Lane between President Place and Rock Springs Road. The land use plan for this area is part of the Sam Ridley Parkway corridor character area, which calls for a mix of retail and service uses that are both regional and local in scale. Surrounding zoning of this is C2 and PUD. South of this is a climate-controlled self-storage unit. Existing PUD allows for a 15,000 square foot commercial strip center. With this proposed amendment, we'd be allowing for a 8,210 square foot restaurant. An update to this actually is it has been a recent finding that within the covenant restrictions for this Home Depot subdivision, the size of the building need to be reduced in size down to about 6,800 square feet in size from that 8,200 square feet. Nothing else with the site is changing other than that size of the building would be getting smaller. The lot would be staying essentially the same with the traffic motion patterns throughout the site, potentially a couple of additional parking spaces in there as well. But that's the only modification that has been changed since the first reading on this. Access to the site would be utilized via Isabel Lane in 2 different locations. The applicant's requesting the building to be constructed with a minimum of 75% primary materials and 25% accent materials which deviate from the normal restrictions. Typically, we restrict the accent materials, which would include the wood and metal, requested to 10% rather than 25% that they are requesting as part of this rezoning. Additionally, as part of this request, the applicant's requesting more signage than what the ordinance typically allows. Under the ordinance restrictions at this time, 200 square foot is allowed. The applicant is proposing for 8 wall signs yielding approximately 464 square feet. Bands of neon are permitted in the signage, but not for the windows. And Planning Commission recommend approval of this 6-4 with 1 against. Staff recommends approval of the request except for the proposed sign package. The proposal is more than twice the allowed amount per the ordinance, and rare occurrences for variances requested to the BZA. Staff does believe this is due to the fairness of the sign ordinance at this time.
Questions on this one? We had quite a bit of discussion, especially on the signage on this one, but anything council wants to add? Okay, we'll move on to item 24, which is consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of property located on tax map 33, part of parcel 33.00 to go from C2 to PRD. It's requested by Aoub Ishak. The property requested to be rezoned contains 13.85 acres and is located on Todd Lane and DeLacy Lane, and this is a second reading.
Mayor, Council, this property is located on Todd Lane and DeLacy Lane, approximately 13.85 acres in size. Approximately 5.18 acres would remain Zone C2 along Old Nashville Highway. Land use plan is part of the Old Nashville Corridor character area, which calls for a mix of neighborhood scale retail and personal service uses, as well as townhome and attached residential development. Surrounding zoning, mix of R1, R2, PRD across Old Nashville, Talia Trace, and C2. The cemetery, which is part of this parcel, would be included in the rezoning request and would be divided off as part of this development. The original requested PRD was for 100 townhomes with a density of 7.22 units per acre. As recommended by Planning Commission, the total units were reduced by 6 units, now to a total of 94 units and a density of 6.79 units per acre. Access to the site provided from DeLacy Lane and extension of Mason Tucker Drive from Todd Lane to Old Nashville Highway through the development. Units would be for sale products and would have an HOA with common space managed by a third party. Traffic study was submitted to us, recommends a 3-lane section for Mason Tucker Drive with a 4-way stop at Mason Tucker Todd Lane intersection. And a traffic signal is not warranted at this time. Townhomes would have a minimum square footage of 1,350 square feet, and there would be 74 units that would have garages with 20 units that do not have garages. Planning Commission recommended approval of this request 6-4 with 1 against with the following conditions. We had flipped a couple of the units along the Mason Tucker side that would have garages so that the fronts now face Old Nashville Mason Tucker Drive with parking in the rear. Eliminate 6 of the units facing Todd Lane and replace that with a playground space. And all patios are required to be fenced with vinyl fences, and the minimum square footage of the townhomes shall be 1,350 square feet in size. The applicant has addressed all of those concerns, recommendations by Planning Commission, and staff would recommend approval based on that updated pattern book in your packet.
Questions on this?
More of a statement. And Mitch, help me out here. I think when we originally saw this, not necessarily at first reading, but even prior to that, we were closer to about 125 units.
Originally, yes, roughly.
Yeah, and then we expanded the C2 area. We did not increase the density, and then with the latest recommendation from planning, we took out, was it 6 or 8? 6. 6 more units.
Well, and I think we had a little discussion last time about aesthetically how it looks, and it looks like they've changed some of that as well, so.
We had that discussion as well.
Yeah.
Have you had any calls from any neighbors?
More so questioning what's going on than anything else.
Okay.
Any questions? Okay, we'll put that on the agenda and move on to item 25, which is consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of property located on tax map 55, parcel 7.02, to go from I-2 to C-2. It's requested by Mr. Patel. The property requested to be rezoned contains approximately 2.94 acres and is located at the corner of Amable Road, Poplarwood Road, and Seminary Road. The recommendation also includes the rezoning of parcel 7.01 owned by Consolidated Utility District to go from I-2 to C-2, and this is a second reading. Mitch.
Mayor, Council, this property is located at the corner of Allenville Road, Poplarwood Road, and Seminary Road. Land use plan for this site would support medium-density residential. Surrounding zoning consists of R1, R3, PRD, subdivisions of Belmont and the Preserve at Stewart's Creek, and I-2 in town, and then RM in Rutherford County across the street. Staff recommended the inclusion of parcel 7.01 if the requested parcel is rezoned. That is that tract owned by CUD. We have heard back this week that CUD board has said they give up their blessing to this property being rezoned as well as part of this overall rezoning application. With that, staff would recommend approval, and Planning Commission also recommend approval, 7-4-0 against.
Questions for Mitch on this one? We had quite a bit of discussion on this one as well. Okay, and we will put that on the agenda. Item 26, consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of property located on tax map 50, part of parcel 12.02, to go from C2 to PCD. It's requested by Rob Mulchin. The property requested to be rezoned contains approximately 1.05 acres and is located on Lee Victory Parkway, and it is a second reading.
Mayor, Council, this is a property located on Lee Victory Parkway, which is across from the entrance of the shops of Lee Village Shopping Center. Land use plan is part of the 24 Gateway Character Area, which promotes a mixture of uses and services that are both local and regional in scale, which also include hospitality, retail, restaurant, and multifamily uses. Surrounding zoning for this property is C2. As proposed, the site is for a 7,000 square foot, 8-bay automobile service and repair business. Access will be provided via a private drive which connects to Lee Victory Parkway. This access is owned by Parkway Baptist Church. Staff needs proof of ability to utilize this drive for access as part of the site plan submittal. At this time, staff does not have that access provided by the church yet, so we're still waiting on that. The plat was approved to be subdivided for the property, but has not yet been recorded at this time. Water and sewer would have to be extended off-site to serve the property, and the property is entirely within the 100-year floodplain. A letter of map revision is required to be submitted and be approved by FEMA as part of the development of this parcel. Planning Commission recommend approval 5-4, 2 against, and staff recommends approval of this request.
Questions for Mitch on this one? Kind of beat this one up too a little bit.
Is it anticipated that this access will be resolved prior to second reading? Or
We haven't seen anything yet on it, so I wouldn't, it could come in any day. I don't know if there's even one in the process, so it's a mystery yet.
But Jeff, that really doesn't affect us if that doesn't come in. That's really between them, correct? Okay. But I'm like you, I'd like to have it resolved.
Yeah.
Okay. Other questions? Okay, then we will move on to item 27. We do have something under other. We had a resignation from historic zoning by Ms. Heather.
I didn't want her to move either.
H.E.'s daughter Heather served on our historic zoning and has decided to leave Smyrna. So we hate to see her go. She is, they were a great addition to Smyrna, but we understand. So if you are interested in serving on the Historic Zoning Commission, then applications can be taken on our town website, and we will be making that appointment at our next board meeting.
The next council meeting.
Yes, next council meeting. I'm thinking I'm on the Transportation Policy Board, so. Amber, anything tonight?
No, ma'am.
Hal, anything tonight? Chief? Steve?
No, thank you.
Just telling people to get out and cut their yard so we don't have to come make a visit, right?
That's it.
Yes. Anything tonight? Look, we know he's coming up.
Yes, Mayor, just want to give you an update on the Lowry project. Work continues on getting the street lights and all the underground utilities in, so that continues to improve. And our prime contractor is scheduling to come back in. That would be doing the curb and sidewalk work on that. The next phase from Jackson Street down to Harts Branch Bridge, we have received the approved NEPA on that, so we're waiting for the design notice to proceed for that part of the project. The contractor has resumed work on the Lee Victory recreational park entrance, so they're trying to get gravel up to final grade and start getting a concrete curb and a base asphalt in on it. And that's the major projects we have update right now.
Just out of curiosity, how long did it take us to get NEPA on that second phase?
Year and 3 months.
Just so you know, it's not just us. This is a discussion we have, probably the biggest discussion we have on our task force is having to go through NEPA and how long it takes, so.
We're
Thank you.
continuing on.
There you go. Okay, thanks. Carl, anything?
No, ma'am.
You would be very proud of me. I sent a message to Brian today because I got an email that said I needed to DocuSign something. And I said, I don't know if this is fake or not. I don't want the town to miss out. And he said he got it too. It was a scam. So I didn't click the button.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mike Strange with that nasty tie on. Nothing? Mike? With a nice looking tie on?
He has an orange one.
But he knows not to wear it.
I noticed Mike don't wear those. He asked for capital money.
Oh, there you go.
I'm just kidding. I do the same thing. Anyway, I just want to say we hosted the aquatic facilitators course this week down at the SOAC, and we had 5 employees that passed that: Marty Smith, Trenton Short, Kirsten Sutter, Sammy Pope, and Gary Sawyer. That's not an easy course. It's a lot of formulas and chemicals, and I'm very proud of them.
Great.
That's it. Thank you.
Any questions for Mike? Thanks, Mike. Jeff? Mitch?
Pretty sure.
Chief? Rex?
I've said enough tonight.
Okay. Sierra? Kathy? Amber said she didn't. Brian?
Mayor and Council, I do have a couple things that I'd like to share with you, and I want to start, since we just left Kathy over there. Last time we were together, I announced that there was a special gift that Kathy had accepted on one of her fingers over there, and newly engaged. And I'm sad to tell you that I was hoping it was going to be a midsummer to fall wedding, but it looks like the wedding's going to be a little sooner. And she will be leaving us. Next Friday will be her last day with the town, so this is actually her last meeting with us. And Brett, who we recognized last time, tonight is his last meeting as an employee. We have convinced him to stick around until we get those positions filled to help us a little bit as a contract employee, so he'll be helping us. So if Brett would step out, and Kathy, if you would, I'd like to just show some appreciation. These two people have really stepped up our game in the area of the PIO position. Kathy is, the first person to fill that position with us, and we made some changes. But Brett and Kathy both have just really elevated our game in this area, and I just want to show some appreciation for the work they've done. Thank you both.
I have almost pretended like this has not been going to happen. I have so enjoyed working with both of you all. And you both make being on camera very easy and actually enjoyable. And I think y'all have worked as a great team to show the great things that happen in the town of Smyrna. And that was one thing that we wanted to make sure that we were able to do was let our citizens know what all was taking place. So we are definitely going to miss you, but we wish you both the best.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much. I agree.
Thanks.
I'm not done. I've got some other
Okay.
things. Just a couple things. Chef Anthony couldn't be with us tonight, and I think it's important to tell you why. He has been a mentor through Milo College here in town with a young black high school student, and tonight is a graduation ceremony for the mentors and the mentees. And I applaud Chef Anthony. He's done a great job for us at the town center. We get lots of accolades for his food preparation, but not just that, but the overall atmosphere that he's brought to that organization down there. So congratulations, Chef, tonight for the work you're doing outside the scope of being the chef at the town center.
Put on a pretty good Easter buffet, too.
And if you don't hurry up, you're not going to get to make the Mother's Day because it's filling up fast.
That's
So
right.
don't forget about that. Wanted to share, most of you have seen in the paper or know about, we had a very tragic automobile accident 2 nights ago here in Smyrna. And I just want to say thank you. I sent an email out, and I truly used a word that I believe it's just simply amazing to see our police department and our fire department respond. And as a town manager, you don't know how much comfort I take knowing that we have very trained, very capable people to go out there and deal with the tragedy in our community. But I also wanted to recognize the Laverne Fire Department for coming down and assist, the Rutherford County Ambulance Service, and actually Life Flight in this incident. It was quite tragic. It was tough to watch. It was tough to see. And those folks do that every day. And I just want to show some appreciation for both departments and the work you do. Thank you so much.
And I also want to echo those same things, but also to those dispatchers. One of the dispatchers that worked that night was actually in the store the next day and said she went home and had trouble going to bed that night. And I do think they take it home with them, but I also want to pass on condolences to those family members and those ones that were in the accident. I can't imagine. Brian, I did see some things on Facebook with some frustration levels with the town of Smyrna and the city of Laverne in regards to that intersection itself. And would you just kind of give an update about that? Because it is absolutely something we want to see done there, but it's somewhat out of our hands.
And, you know, it is. And I want to tell you, we are working in partnership with TDOT. That is a state route, and it is a TDOT decision on what happens at that intersection. Unfortunately, that intersection has been a bad intersection for a long time. In 2019, late 2019, we began to talk to them in combination with our friends in Laverne about getting a traffic light there. I wished it was as easy to say, just go put a traffic light up. Unfortunately, there's some issues with that road, not just based on adding the traffic light, and that was one of the questions I asked TDOT. We've got some real issues with the exit ramp going from Sam Ridley Parkway onto Lowry Street, headed into Laverne, as well as crossing over to come back towards Smyrna. So as they begin to look at this situation, and I had conversations with TDOT today again, trust me, we're continuing to have conversations. They have now chosen to not just look at the intersection at Jefferson Pike, they're looking at that whole cross section of road because there's some very unsafe conditions all the way back to the bridge. They are in the process of engineering a resolve for that whole thing and to include the traffic signals. So they've assured me that it is a top priority for them. I talked to TDOT today. I know there's been several other people, and I know the news media is asking questions. It's just unfortunate. It's not just an easy fix. It's not like you can take a traffic light off the shelf and go out there and stick it up and it's going to fix the problems. There are some major road issues in that segment of road, and they're trying to work to the greatest resolve and get it right the first time and get it done. I'm sure after this recent accident, it's again become a very top priority all the way from, I've had conversations with a couple of our legislators in the last day or so. They're putting pressure on TDOT. We're trying to work with TDOT. I don't want to sound like I'm putting it off on them, but I truly understand what the big problem is out there, and it's not just an easy resolve. So if unfortunately we've got a very tragic incident again, be patient. We want to get this right.
Great, thanks.
Okay. Just one or two other things very quickly, Mayor, and I appreciate you asking the questions. Mayor, you received a letter that you shared with me, and I wanted to show some appreciation. This was a unique situation with one of our businesses here in town that was having some pretty serious backup of some sewer issues. And this is in a restaurant, so that's not something you want to have happen in your restaurant. But they wrote a very nice letter of appreciation to our departments, and they specifically called out Paula Stanley in our Utilities Department, Lloyd Atkins, and John Noakes for their professionalism to come out there and get that problem resolved in a very fast manner, and just wanted to show some appreciation for that. I think I've got a couple of slides that we're going to share on the screen. This Saturday, the Smyrna Police Department is pleased to partner with the Prevention Coalition for Success for a drug take-back event this Saturday, and that's going to be, Chief, from 10 to 2. So anybody that has expired medications or medications that are not going to use and they don't want them hanging around the house, those kind of things, if they'll bring them down, I think they're going to have a little event where you can drive through. They're going to have some giveaways. Not on the stuff that we're receiving for disposal. It'll be some niceties that local businesses have contributed. So I know some of you are disappointed about that, but the medicines that we'll be taking back can be in capsule or tablet, and we'll make sure that they're properly disposed of. Are you guys just watching all the disappointment out here with all the folks? But we're excited to partner with this group. They do a great job, and I know we've done this a couple of times, and I appreciate the chief and his staff working this out for us. The other thing I wanted to mention, Chief Bill Culberson has been working diligently, and Kathy has been working very diligently with TriStar Stonecrest Medical Center. We're happy to be bringing back our Kids Safety Day for 2022, and this will be on Saturday, May the 7th. From 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Smyrna Outdoor Activity Center. There'll be food, fun, children's safety information, giveaways, and more. So come out and join us on Saturday, May the 7th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Last but not least, shop local is my friend HG always says, and for me it's love where you live. We just celebrated Earth Day, and I'm very proud of our employees that got out. We had employees in the parks. We were at the cemetery. We were on Lowry Street at our Adopt a Highway segment. And let me tell y'all something. Picking up trash down Lowry Street is not an easy task, and I can tell you that now from experience. Tom's been after me. They got me out there. And I think they purposely put some stuff out for me to find, but we found some treasures, that's for sure. It's just amazing that people will just throw garbage on the side of the road. I mean, take a little pride in our community. Our employees had a great time. Am I doing something wrong? I might always be careful. Our employees were out there. We had some volunteers out there. I am going to be after Tom a little bit. The Lowry Street group didn't get the ice cream truck that came to the park. Mr. Moss seemed to be taking good care of his folks. So next year on Earth Day, I will be at Sharp Springs Park collecting garbage. But again, just, we've got some great communities out there. We've got a beautiful community, a beautiful town. Take some pride in it and love where you live. Take your trash home, take it to the dump, take it to the filling station and put it in the garbage can. Don't throw it on our streets. And that's all I have tonight, Mayor.
Good. Jeffrey L.
It's important to remember to go vote. And Carl has made me so weary about emails, I will only be corresponding U.S. postal mail.
I know, I'm paranoid. I'm paranoid to open anything, to look at anything. So
It may take 3 days to receive a message.
There you go. I understand. Raquel?
Just to follow up on the budget, thank you to all the departments and all the staff for putting that together. Thank you, Sierra, and for Rex for the presentation this evening. Kathy, Brett, you have set a standard, as Brian said, and thank you for all that you have done since you've been here, and you have elevated the outlook of Smyrna through all the work that you and Brett have done. So thank you for all you put into your position. And this is going to be, it will be Mother's Day before we get back, so I do want to take a moment and say Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. And that's all I have for this evening.
Great. HG?
Also, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers, especially the mother of my children and my grandchildren and my mother herself. But when you go shop for your Mother's Day present, shop local. And please be kind to your mother also.
Very good.
Well, that goes without saying. But Kathy, Brett, thank you. Your professionalism has been incredible. You guys are going to be a tough act to follow. And of course, best wishes to your future. For our employees, thank you for you're there in times of tragedy and need, and thank you for the days that you're there for the ordinary, and then for the things that you do outside your job, just in the public service of our community. And again, happy Mother's Day.
Steve.
I'll echo the comments, Kathy. I've told you several times we've already missing you. You haven't left. Just knowing that you're not going to be here. You've set the bar. You created we had kind of a position, but you're really our first PIO position, and you've created a standard that I think is going to be hard to fill. So thank you for what you've done. And you kind of brought Brett along right after you got here, and I think we're going to miss him as well. It's made our social media presence just that much better. So we really appreciate everything you do. Having you there to be able to direct questions and requests for comment and stuff has been really a nice addition. So we're going to miss you. But congratulations. Yeah. Raquel actually asked me tonight, so I sent a couple texts. I've heard several folks in the community asking about Chick-fil-A. A friend of mine is one of the managers there, so I reached out to him, and he says that they are planning to reopen on May 10th. So for those of you missing your Chick-fil-A fix, May 10th, we've just got a couple more weeks left. And it's supposed to be better and improved and, I don't know, same chicken, I think, but I don't know. Also, we received an email. I think most of you probably received it. If you haven't noticed, the McDonald's over in North Lowry's been getting remodeled. I think they're nearing the completion of that. We received an email, or at least I did today, letting us know that they're going to be participating in Teacher Appreciation Week next week. So next week, teachers and staff for any of the schools in our area can go to McDonald's for a free coffee, hot or iced, and a free or a free soft drink. So all you need is your school ID to prove that you are a school employee, and they're going to take care of you. So Teacher Appreciation Week is next week. It's probably on your list, so I'm probably stealing your thunder, but we appreciate everything that the teachers do, and they're honestly underappreciated in our community. My wife was an EA for 10 years, and I think I think she made $16,000 her best year. So, I mean, they're underpaid, underappreciated, and overworked. So we appreciate everything you do, and taking on the responsibility to teach our children is a daunting task. Last, somebody mentioned early voting ends today, so the election is Tuesday, May 3rd. So if you didn't early vote, Tuesday's your opportunity. 7 to 7, the polls are open.
Any site.
And you can vote anywhere. I was going to say that, actually. You can vote anywhere. You do not have to go to your polling site. You can vote at any polling site in Rutherford County for that time. They'll be able to pull your ballot up in your district and give you your candidates. So I encourage you to go vote. I know often this one being kind of an off cycle and out of the normal routine, it's kind of an afterthought for some folks, but it's extremely important for you to get your vote cast and to have your voice heard. I've heard through the grapevine that the counts are really low, that we've had not a lot of people show up for vote, and that actually means your vote means a lot more. The lower the number, the more potential for swaying one way or the other. So we really need you to come out and support your favorite candidate and cast your ballot. I think the only other thing, just a little bit of a personal note, I may have mentioned this before, but my great aunt, who is essentially my grandmother, passed away last night. She's been ill for we're not really ill, but just, it's been time for several months. My uncle, her husband passed away last August, and now she's passed away. They were married 74 years, I believe. Both were in their 90s, so good, long life. I hope I got some of those genes. She was kind of a surrogate grandmother to me. My grandmother passed away when I was 3, and she kind of stepped in. And so she's going to be missed. We will be heading out to Albuquerque for the funeral and I guess, consecration that they're going to have for her. But if you will, keep the Hensley family in your prayers. Again, it wasn't completely unexpected. This has been coming, but it's still tough when it does. So, all right, thank you.
Thanks.
Sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Couple things that we did last week, I think. We cut the ribbon on Chicken Salad Chick. So while Chick-fil-A is unable to get in there, I highly recommend they go down to Chicken Salad Chick.
Get your chicken fix.
It was delicious, and they were very helpful. The staff there was just as friendly as any staff you'll ever find. So schools were mentioned too, and of course my wife has been in the school system now for 28 years at Smyrna Elementary School. And as the time's counting down, she's retiring. I'll probably announce it when she does, because she'll be jumping for joy. But it is a tough job. School business is a hard job, so I'm glad McDonald's is doing that as well. Especially in the COVID season the last couple of years, it's just been really, really tough on teachers and staff at all the schools. So I do want to wish her a happy Mother's Day, because she is the mother of our children. And if you still have your mother, hug them, call them. Unfortunately, I cannot do that anymore, but you'll miss them when they're gone. So make sure you acknowledge your mom and make her feel special on Mother's Day. Kathy, Brett, both of you, we appreciate everything you've done. All the accolades have been said, probably even when we weren't up here. We've shared with you guys how much we appreciate all you've done. And you guys have really stepped up the game there, and you've been amazing. So I talked to Brett earlier as well. Rex and Sierra, thank you both for putting all this together tonight, and your whole finance department, your team back there. I know how hard that is to put a budget together and work together like that. It takes a lot of people. We know it's not just you two, but thank you for what you did. All of our employees, a lot of times, I think about, it's easy to think about the jobs that our police department, our fire department, people like that have to do. You mentioned the terrible crash and being on scene and things like that. It's quite easy to remember that they have those tough jobs. But we have a lot of people inside the building here that make this whole thing operate. The Treasury Department, the people that handle utility calls, and so forth and so on. Back in the legal department, Jeff, your team back there. I mean, there's just a lot of people that keep this machine rolling. So I want to say thank you to all of them too. That's really all I have. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Couple of items. Mother's Day will be celebrated before we come back, and we just want to wish everybody a very happy Mother's Day to all of the moms in our community. We appreciate the job you do day in and day out. We also want to thank WGNS for devoting one episode each week to the roundtable to the Smyrna community, and thank you to Wayne Blair and Rick Hall for serving as host. Brian and I were the inaugural guest earlier this week, and we always enjoy the opportunity getting to share information about projects and events that are happening in Smyrna. And we encourage you to tune in each Tuesday from 9 to 10 or visit WGNSradio.com for a link to the podcast of the episode, and congratulations to Wayne and Rick. Welcome Chicken Salad Chick. We got to go out and cut the ribbon, have a photo of that. If you've not had an opportunity to go out and give them a try, they do have a drive-through, which Murfreesboro does not, which is always important to point out. So welcome to Chicken Salad Chick. Our Depot Farmers Market opens Saturday, May 21st. It's that time of year again. If you're interested in participating as a vendor, please visit carpeartista.com for additional information and to complete the application online. We look forward to Simply Smyrna 2022. This year's event is scheduled for Saturday, June the 4th from 6 to 10. If you'd like to participate as a vendor, you can visit carpeartista.com to register online. Thank you to Ron Alley and everyone involved with Carpe Artista for your commitment to Smyrna and for your work to bring events to our Depot District. We released our 4th episode of the History of Smyrna series last week, and thank you to everyone who made the program a reality and allowed us to capture and preserve so much of our community's oral history, and additional episodes will be released each month through August. Just want to say thank you to Jeff. We did Jeff's review today, and tell him how much we appreciate him and the work he does as well as his department. So thank you to Jeff. I can't think anything else,
Mayor,
Council?
I had one other thing, and I apologize that I missed it on my list of
Sure.
all the things. Somebody else is being pretty humble tonight. I think Raquel Peebles has something to brag about. I saw her on the news where she was working with a class at Laverne High School. It was at Laverne Middle School. Middle school. So I just wanted to recognize the work you did, and you did a good job representing Smyrna on television the other night, so.
Thank you.
Great. So what is it you're doing?
I was invited down to their debutante club to talk about professions and politics, and it was filmed by Vicki Yates on Channel 5, and they showed it on her, School Patrol program. It aired yesterday.
Well, great. Congratulations. Okay, anything else? If nothing else, we are adjourned.